Welcome to Roots of Faith. I'm Renee Richard, and today I'm actually standing in the foyer of the plantation home called Indian Camp that is here in Carville on the site of the old leprosy hospital that was here for over 100 years. The hospital has since closed, and today we're going to be talking about what happens here at the Gillis W. Long Center in Carville, Louisiana. I have as my guest today Colonel John Angelloz, and you are the
Installation Commander.
Installation Commander for the Louisiana National Guard here at the Gillis W. Long Center. And this is the administrative headquarters for the Louisiana National Guard, is it not?
No, ma'am.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
This is the headquarters for the Gillis W. Long Center and the Louisiana Military Department.
Okay, great.
The Louisiana National Headquarters is at a different location.
Okay, that's fine. I wasn't clear on that. I saw a big sign out front that just said administrative office.
We do that to scare everybody.
Huh? That's fine, yes. With the gate, it sometimes does. So tell us a little bit about what happens here. Is this the only, how many locations?
No, ma'am,
National Guard?
the state of Louisiana actually gained control of this property in 1999 when the National Hansen Disease Program and the federal government gave it to the state of Louisiana. The state of Louisiana then gave it to the Louisiana National Guard.
Okay.
So the Louisiana National Guard has several other installations spread throughout the state. This one's located closely to south and southeastern Louisiana.
So it's in a very good location for...
Right. Our primary mission, the thing that is of utmost importance to this, is we're what you call a power projection platform. In other words, we can go ahead and mobilize and stage commodities, troops, material and equipment ahead of a natural disaster. And then when the disaster hits, we can go ahead and get into the affected areas as quickly as possible. So I don't know if you've ever been affected yourself with a disaster. My family, we grew up out in Central. We got flooded 3 times.
Yeah. And
so it's really difficult when you look in your parents' eyes as a young kid and you see the hopelessness that they have or the stress on what we're going to do. Then all of a sudden your family, your friends, your neighbors, and then the National Guard shows up to help you out. It gives you hope. So here, not only do we bring hope, we deliver hope, during those times of emergencies.
And we were just talking, y'all started in the 90s at this command post or whatever. When I think of the National Guard on TV or otherwise, I think like Katrina. Y'all are there to help us, help the people, any kind of emergency that exists. So I know we've had some big ones like Katrina, Rita, 2016 flood. How have those things changed what happens here? Or has it?
It has. It has helped us to refine our business practices. It's helped us to develop in greater detail our emergency management plans so that we can get out to the affected areas quicker and with the right type of equipment or people that we need to help the people that's been severely affected, predominantly anywhere in South or Southeastern Louisiana. After Katrina, the other thing that we had to do here on the installation is that we had a lot of people that evacuated from Jackson Barracks and came here and lived here until Jackson Barracks was rebuilt and they could move back there or other places. So we actually increased not only the footprint here with families in the acreage, we also increased a lot of our duties and responsibilities in that regard to our own people.
Okay. You were saying earlier too that there were more programs. What are some of the programs that are here? Or units?
Yeah, well, we now, since 1999, when there was 0 National Guard units here, we have steadily built up a force to help our citizens. So now we have security units, transportation, medical, communication, and other specialized packages that directly will help people that's affected. .
So this center here, the Gillis W. Long Center, basically from what I'm gathering, it's like a staging center. So if we were to have a major event such as a hurricane coming, or one of these 30 inches rains in 3 days like we had in 2016, this would be where kind of the command center for where everything kind of gets put here and then is assimilated out to the area because for the immediate area.
Well, this is one of the locations that, as we see the weather pattern developing,
Right,
we
for
can
this,
tell
for this area.
that bad weather is coming for this area or southeastern Louisiana, southern Louisiana. Now you can start staging equipment here. It's like the big high water trucks, the big army trucks you
Okay.
see on the road all the time in convoys, where you can stage those vehicles here. You can stage troops that drive those vehicles, or troops that do search and rescue, or troops that do debris removal. Like with hurricanes, a lot of trees come down. You have to cut your pathways, for your avenues of approach so that you can move around. They can all come here and they stage here. You may have hundreds of soldiers, hundreds of equipment that stages here. You could even stage, for example, evacuation equipment like buses.
Okay.
I don't know, after Katrina, a process that we developed was, utilizing buses from all the local schools throughout Louisiana to go ahead with National Guard drivers to go ahead and evacuate people if high water comes. You can stage buses here, for example. You can stage generators here. You can stage MREs. I don't know if you've ever heard about meals ready to eat.
Ate some.
Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. So you can stage those here. You can stage ice here. You can stage water, tarps, blankets, cots. But it becomes a staging area. And then as we, with the communication units that we have here and other places, as we determine what the needs are in the affected area, what our citizens need, we can push that out much faster because it's now centralized and closer
Right. Okay.
to the damage area. So now they get the relief, twice, 3 times as fast as they would otherwise, which in their situation is a great help. It gives them hope, gives them some life, some encouragement for what they have to face, as they dig out of whatever situation they're in.
Yeah, so it's a big enough facility to handle all of the things that you just mentioned. In this location, you're between 2 big metropolitan areas, between Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and of course the West Bank. So it just puts things at hand sooner and faster, as you were saying, being from Central, than to have to go 2 hours away. You're closer by having it all here on this site.
You're much closer. Things are much faster. And think of it like a revolving door, if you would. As you push troops out, or you push equipment or commodities out, you're also pushing it back in so that you can continue to get into the affected areas, or as you find out more people, need help, you can push it other places. So it's just like a revolving door. As you get it in, you get it to the areas and to the people that need it the most, and you just keep doing it. In 2016, when they had the floods in the greater Baton Rouge area, they had a shelter right there in Gonzales. So a lot of the soldiers, and since it was a 24/7 operation for us, a lot of the soldiers that actually ran and managed and secured that facility, were staged here, and they would go back and forth to provide those services that those people needed here until they could get back on their feet. So we do all those type of things, and that's our primary goal, that's our primary mission. And personally, I think that we're very good at it.
We talked a little bit about the big events like Katrina or like the 2016 flood, but really you support, anything that may need help throughout the states. There've been some other things that we had talked about on break too, such as ice storms.
Right.
And
So again, even though geographically we're closer to south and southeastern Louisiana, we've also provided support to northern parts of the state during ice storms. It's a good place to go ahead again to stage equipment and manpower that can go ahead and go further north to help clear the main highways, of ice, and support Department of Transportation and Development and state police with their efforts. So we've done that in the past also. Even out west with tornadoes, or throughout the state where there's been tornadoes, we have the capability again to store. Engineers can come here, stay here overnight, consolidate, and then move north to the affected areas. But it's important to note that we predominantly support the state of Louisiana. This installation is a state facility. Our commander-in-chief is Governor John Bell Edwards. This is not the active National Guard. We work hand in hand with the active National Guard, but this is a state-owned facility, and that supports the state and citizens of Louisiana.
Yeah, so as an installation facility versus active, is basically the active might go outside the boundaries of Louisiana, correct?
That's correct. On the active side,
They could be deployed anywhere.
right, the president can mobilize and deploy those units anywhere, to include the global
Right.
war on terror, like they've been doing for the past 15 years. With this installation and its personnel, as long as they're state employees that are not part of an active unit, they cannot get mobilized or deployed. Again, the governor is our commander-in-chief.
That's great to know, because I know from my own perception, I hear National Guard, I don't know the difference, like you just explained, that was an eye-opener for me.
Well, it's definitely a benefit and definitely an advantage that the governor has to leverage for his citizens. And I think he's done it to a great degree and very efficiently, and provided great support, since he's been the governor. And I think our citizens would attest to the same throughout all the different emergencies that we've had to fight all across the state.
I see. The center that we're on, this former leprosy hospital, is big and being used as it was as a home for people. The Gillis Center, it's also a center here as well as the National Guard, right? There's a convention center or
Yes,
within the
ma'am.
grounds
Well, we've been very creative once the
and
state.
utilizing the space.
Yes, ma'am. Once the state of Louisiana gave it to the National Guard has been very creative, trying to utilize every part of the space that we have available to us. For example, when the Hansen disease program had the space, they had a hospital here for its patients. Well, we converted the hospital to a hotel or a conference center. And so now we can host different events or support different events from the community or the greater Baton Rouge area that want to come here, rent a space and have different events. The state dog is the Catahoula. So they have the national competition here once a year, and you have people that come as far away as Australia to compete on that weekend, and it's done right here in Carville, Louisiana.
On this facility.
Oh, yes, ma'am. On this facility, we'll have people that come here that will get married here. We have family reunions that occur here because, again, on the acreage that we have a swimming pool, we have a theater, we have a gym, we have several different bodies of water, lake, pond. So we have different family activities will come here, rent a space, and do things with their family here. We're all inclusive. We don't turn anybody away. We try and fit in as part of the community and support the community as best we can.
So being the National Guard jurisdiction is over the whole thing, you have this separate center that is available for commercial use as well. I mean, I don't mean commercial use, but I mean for the...
There's a process where if individuals are interested, they'll come out and they'll do a tour of the facility and take a look if we can support their event. We've even filmed several movies or several TV shows out here. So that's available for rent too.
Okay.
So yes, ma'am, that's all here. That's all available. Again, it's trying to take advantage and being creative with the space that we have, trying to be as mostly self-supporting as we can, while we don't forget our primary mission, assisting the citizens of Louisiana, because that's always at the forefront of our mind and what we do.
Okay, so I just have a question. In the event that a hurricane's coming, and you have this convention center that's going on as well, is that the space that you use when you're bringing in people and you're staging an event? I mean, I'm just curious because now I'm saying, okay, some of it's
the same and some of it's differently. During a hurricane, again, our goal is to assist our citizens in the affected area. Like I told you earlier, being personally, my family flooded 3 times. I know what it's like. So I drive that, and all of my employees, all of the active units here. That's the team philosophy that we have. That's our mindset. So I'll stick people, soldiers, equipment, materials, every nook and cranny in this place that we can potentially hold, so that we can get it into those areas where those people need it the most. The way I look at it, there's no price that you can put on a human life or damaged property. Because again, being in that type of situation, I know what it's like. So that's what That's what we do. But again, you got to ask yourself, if I'm here for a family reunion and I got a Cat 4 hurricane bearing down on the coast of Louisiana, am I really going to stay here?
No, not.
I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna evacuate. In
I'm
that
gonna be
case,
going
if we have a
somewhere.
contract with them, whatever, we'll work it out, and they'll come back. They'll hurricane check.
That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, so the priority would be for the National Guard, of course, but when it's something that you can predict, you would need the whole facility, would you not, for bringing in preparation
No,
for what's coming?
I
I
would.
guess that's where I was going with that.
I would balance it as much as
As
possible.
you could. Okay.
Balance it as much as possible. So if there was the Louisiana Department of Veterans Affairs, for example, comes here and trains periodically. So if they were here and I knew something was bearing down, and I would balance it to where I could get them their event finished, and then I would shift, and fill their spaces once they left. Because I have plenty of capability here, plenty of resources to where I can do a good balancing act, and fulfill everybody's needs and wants. But yes, the National Guard, the citizens that would be affected, that would be our number one priority. But we would aim to take care of everybody, and we would do it as a team.
I just had to ask that because in my head, it's like, okay, competition here at times.
Well, but that's what I get paid to do.
Yeah.
That's my job. Is to do the balancing act. It's like a puzzle sometimes.
Sure.
And so as you're putting together the puzzle and you're trying to fit all the pieces and make everything work, and that's the advantage of living on the facility, is that I know darn near every nook and cranny and every resource that we have to put people.
That's amazing.
And again, our philosophy, our mindset is that we want to help the people that's in the affected areas as quickly, as accurately, and professionally as we can. And I think, again, Louisiana gets knocked for doing a lot of bad things. You read about it in the papers. We're last in this or second to last in that. But let me tell you something. We got the best National Guard in this nation. And I'll put my money where it's worth any time in that regard, without a doubt. The best soldiers, the best airmen, the best families that you ever want to be around.
On this facility, besides y'all, you have the Hanson Museum, but you also have the youth.
We have the Youth
Youth
Challenge
Challenge
program, which you'll be hearing about or talking with Major Riley in a little bit. So we have that program, and we have actually a Catholic Church has Mass here on every Sunday. It's the only installation in the Louisiana National Guard that has a functioning, active Catholic Church on it. The Youth Challenge program takes advantage of that because you have a portion of the kids that will actually come to Mass every Sunday. That Mass also supports the local community. So you'll have people that do not live here or work here that will actually come to Mass here on Sundays.
Right, that's the 8:30 Mass.
Yes, ma'am.
Because it's Sacred Heart Chapel, which was part of the former Leprosy Hospital that is now a mission of St. Gabriel right up the road. So I know the priest from St. Gabriel now. One time they had a resident priest, but the priest will come say Mass. I think it's 8:30, and it is open to the public. So
it is open to the
anyone that
public.
wanted to come to Mass here in the chapel.
Yes, ma'am. Our force
eligible
protection
too.
personnel are accustomed to people coming in for Mass, so it's no hassle coming to Mass. And it's a lot of people do enjoy and participate. It's a wonderful service that we provide for the whole installation, the Youth Challenge program, and again for the local community. So we enjoy it quite a bit.
Good. Well, Colonel Angelloz, thank you for being my guest today.
Well,
As we explored a little bit more about
You're very welcome.
what goes on here.
I won't
in
be
today's
completely
world.
happy though until you sign up and join us, sir.
I have nephews. I have.
I'll take them.
No,
nieces
they're in.
too.
They're in.
Oh, good.
I have 2 nephews who are in the National Guard. So.
Good. Good. We'll take one and all.
Very good. Well, thank you again.
You're welcome.
I have as my guest today Major Barry Riley, and he's the director for the Youth Challenge program. I got that right this time, right?
Yes, ma'am. Youth Challenge program.
Which is based at least one of them is based out of here. Right?
Yeah, there are 3 different locations. This
Okay,
is the
good.
furthest out location. We kind of service most of the Baton Rouge area and New Orleans area. There's an additional one up near Shreveport, which is Camp Minden, and there's one in central Louisiana, which is at Camp Beauregard.
Good. Well, tell our audience a little bit about exactly what this program entails.
All right, the Youth Challenge program started in 1993.
Really?
It was a program that was started to help at-risk youth. It kind of mirrored the military model where you see a young man go off to the military, he's to kind of give a little trouble. All of a sudden he comes back from the military, he's a changed person, he's more disciplined. So they took that concept and they formed the Youth Challenge program. Louisiana had the first program, which is 10, which was the pilot program, which was located in Camp Beauregard, which was started in 1993. So it's been around for a while. Yes,
That's
ma'am.
amazing too. And that Louisiana was the first, we're not usually the first to do
No,
it.
we were the first to have a Youth Challenge program. Yes, ma'am.
That's great though. So who does this target? Tell us a little bit about like what age groups?
We target ages 16 to 18, and when we talk about at-risk youth, we're not talking about violent felonies. We're talking about young men and young women who have situations at home, at school, just some minor things. They come here, they get that discipline. They work on their HiSET, which is equivalent to what they used to call a GED.
Okay.
And also we've started a program where they work towards getting credits and actually go back to their high school and complete with their high school class.
I see. Okay. So in other words, how long of a program is it?
5.5 months. So they live with us. They stay here on the Gillis W. Long Center for 5.5 months. They live in military-style barracks. We feed them. We provide everything for them, from clothing, books, you name it. We give it to them. We take field trips. We go out and do community service, and they're here for 5.5 months. Once they graduate, in that 5.5 month period, we tend to what we call track them or keep up with them for a year. Just trying to make sure they stay on track, make sure they either get a job, join the military, continue with community service, continue their education and things of that nature.
That's what you were talking about when you said, between the ages of like 16 to 18, some may go back to school. So if you're getting a sophomore,
Yes, ma'am.
they may come in here and then go back
They'll
to
go
high
back to their
school,
high school. That's correct.
versus someone 18 that may
Join
come in as a senior or equivalent to
Right.
that if they're not in school or whatever, and then get out and go get a job. Okay, that gives
Yes,
me
ma'am.
a better understanding of how the program works. Now, is it limited? Is there any scope in terms of anyone that, I see the commercials, so is it open to anyone?
It's
like if somebody just wants that structure, or
It is,
they're
yes, ma'am.
thinking maybe about going into the military later, would this be, something that they might?
Yes, ma'am. And we don't push the military on anyone, but if that is their career choice, that is their goal, we would definitely help them to facilitate that.
Well, my impression watching the commercials, just, you see them marching, so I think in terms of it being like a boot camp, I don't know. So in my mind, when I've seen them, okay, if I were a teenager and I'm considered in the military, which some of my nephews and stuff
Yes, ma'am.
have, that's the appeal.
That
So, I
is
don't
the
know.
appeal,
Just
and you'll be surprised when they graduate. Now, when they first come, they don't too much
Oh,
like
no,
it a whole
no.
lot.
What have I
But
got
as they
myself
graduate,
into?
their main comment or their main pros about the program is the discipline, the structure, the consistency, because you know exactly what you're doing from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed.
Which is something that plenty of them are not exposed to
Yes, ma'am.
prior, because most of us don't live our lives that regimented.
It's regimented. They know. There's no questions. There's no guessing. They know they got to get up. They got to make their bunk. They got to set their display up in their barracks. They got to go to breakfast. They got to get ready to go to school. And then the cycle just kind of repeats every day.
So how many are enrolled at one time?
So typically we taking about 300. Our graduation target is 250. So we tend to
Okay.
stay around that number. Yes, ma'am.
And you lose a few
We
in
lose
the process
a few.
sometimes.
Yeah, lose a few. It's a voluntary program, so that there's no one that's here against their will. It's not a court order thing. So they volunteer to be here, and then if they put up enough fuss, then they voluntarily leave.
Okay. So it's not oftentimes like parents enroll them in it against their will type thing?
No, it's
Not usually.
I mean,
So
parents
they have to
probably could give some influence towards getting them here, but there's no against your will type. Drop them off the gate and we drag them to the back. No,
Okay.
that's not what happens.
Girls, guys, what's
We
the
have, yeah,
ratio?
we have females and males. We tend to have more males than we have females. It's probably 3 to 1.
3 to 1.
In regards
Okay.
to male and female.
So what do you normally see when they get out? Do a large percentage of them look towards the military for a career, or
Yes,
I'm not
well,
sure I'm making-
not a large
No, but-
percentage. You're talking about anywhere between 7 and 10%. We're starting to
Okay.
see an up. It's going up a little bit. This cycle alone, I think right now we have about at least 12 who've already enlisted in the military, and then there's another 15 or so who are going through the process of enlisting. So we're starting to see that military number kind of rise, because again, they get used to that structure, they get used to that discipline, they get used to mentors wearing this uniform, and so they want to emulate, what it is they see. And what they see at the Youth Challenge program is military, it's discipline, it's consistency. and they want that in their lives.
Okay, good. They spend classroom time?
Yes, ma'am.
Is this
They go
like
to
regular,
traditional
like
classroom.
school?
We have
Okay.
certified teachers. They go to the classroom basically from 8 to about 3. Typical
Okay,
school
typical
day.
school day.
Typical school day.
Okay, great.
Oh, well, I want to mention another program because we kind of talked about the 16 and 18-year-olds, and we talked about what they do when they leave the Youth Challenge program. In January, we started the Job Challenge program, which is another avenue run by the National Guard. And what that is once you graduate from Youth Challenge, you have to be a graduate of the Youth Challenge program, and then you go to the Job Challenge program, which focuses more on job skills, plumbers, welders, pipe fitters, electricians, certified nursing assistants, those things to get them prepared to go into the workforce.
Into the real world,
Yes,
yeah.
ma'am. That's
Okay,
correct.
cool. In talking about these two programs.
Yes, ma'am.
How are they funded?
All right, so the Youth Challenge program is what we call a cooperative agreement. 75% federal funding, and the other 25% is state funded.
Okay.
We get that funding every year to kind of promote the program. Again, this program is voluntary, and the parents don't have to pay anything. Everything is covered. And what we try to promote is take these people into a positive environment, get them out of whatever negative environments they may be involved in. Because a lot of times if they're not here, then they're somewhere else, typically becoming part of the state as far as the state juvenile justice system.
Oh, yes.
So that's costing taxpayers money. Whereas once they graduate from here, they go to school, they get a job. Now they are taxpayers. Now they're contributing to the state, and now that cycle is no longer in place.
And what we were talking about on break too is you're looking at 1,000 kids in a given year, roughly.
Right around
when you take
1,200.
in,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Between
yeah,
the three
300
programs.
kids every so many months.
So many months.
Even though you found them after, you're starting a new program, right?
A new
Right
program is
after.
always starting.
It's
It's
always
always
starting.
in a cycle.
So you're
between
turning
those
out
three.
quite a few per year.
Yes, ma'am. Around 1,200.
So-
1,200 kids every year graduate from the Youth Challenge program.
So that's a major benefit, is putting them in as, good, stable members of society.
Yes, ma'am. And
Or
that's
at
the
least
goal.
giving them that foot.
You got to give them
do
the
that.
footing, and our motto is excellence starts here, and that's what we promote. We start the excellence here, so they can take that excellence forward. Whatever endeavors they would like to do, they have that basis.
They have that foundation.
The foundation to kind of grow, and that's all we're trying to do. Because a lot of them, they don't have that. Once they come here, we give it to them, we focus them, and you'll be surprised at the turnaround we see from day 1 to 5.5 months when they cross that graduation stage.
That's amazing. Well, that's anything else you want to add to that?
No, ma'am.
Okay,
It's a
well,
great program.
thank you so much for being my guest today to talk about this. So folks, in case you didn't know, we have a great program going on here at the Gillis W. Long Center for the youth here in the state. Thank you for being my guest today,
Thank
Major
you.
Riley.